the Madman! Welcome to Trump Custom Cards of the Week, but TIMESKIP edition. This is 10 weeks of the previous custom Hearthstone cards condensed into one episode, so really cool cards here. Let's start with Vision in a Box. 2-mana mage spell, draw a card. You can see what this card will draw. In other words, when Vision in a Box is in your hand, you'll always know what the top card of your deck is. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. Information has not necessarily been worth much over the time, but information of your own deck, now that's pretty powerful. It kind of means whenever you want, you can just pay 2 mana to break open the emergency jar of, hey, I really need that top card of my deck, and I know what the top card is. I think being able to see the top card of your deck always is tempting enough for control Highlander mages, perhaps, or like really control focused decks, or maybe combo decks. Just having the assurance of knowing when this happens. In the case that this card might be too weak, you could slide it into Shaman because they have Farsight and cards like that. So the Vision makes sense for them to cost 1, overload 1. This could also be in Priest. Control Priest is pretty sweet. Knowing what the top card of your deck is worth something. And Priest is all about having shadow visions and visions of the future, and etc. Next up, we got an extreme card. It's Defwing World Breaker. Neutral legendary 10 mana 12/12 dragon. Battle cry. If you're holding a dragon, tear the battlefield apart. Now the board is split into 2 battlefields. The middle lane is unavailable, so the number of minions you can have out total is 6. In the case that the opponent or you had 7 minions, presumably the one in the middle dies. Lanes can only interact with the own lane. So your minions with taunt only taunt that particular lane. It can only attack lanes that your minions are in. Token generators, they only produce in one lane. However, board clear still clear all lanes. Design 3 stars, balance 2 stars. I think this is too complex for a Hearthstone card. It's cool to change the rules of the game, but not by this extreme amount. Where you could salvage the design on this is to put it into some sort of adventure or some dungeon run or something like that. In terms of evaluating the card's strength, it's a little too weak right now. It is basically 10 mana 12/12, don't do much. I think the effect is actually symmetrical. So I think it could be reduced to 8 mana. And also it doesn't need the if you're holding a dragon. Also, it's much more direct if the text is just battle cry. Tear the battlefield apart. But really, like, one of the flaws of the card is if this were played against you and like the battlefield ended up like this, you would have absolutely no idea what was going on if you hadn't read up on the card. And there's a certain extent of what you can have on a card break the rules of Hearthstone. A 1-of card doing this extreme an effect is too much. Next up, we have Malignant Shapeshifter. A warlock 3 mana 1/2 poisonous. This minion looks like a random 3-cost minion from your deck until attacked. A really fascinating design where the game will actively lie on your behalf. Now, is that a good idea? I think not. Design 2 stars, balance 3 stars. You play the card, and then if you have, let's say, Earthen Ring Farseer in your deck, then it looks like a 3 mana 3/3 Earthen Ring Farseer. Now, the strange thing is, your Earthen Ring Farseer, which is actually Malignant Shapeshifter, will not activate the battle cry because it only looks like it. Now, here's the problem. If they don't know Malignant Shapeshifter exists, they'll be really confused. They'll be like, bug? Question mark? And I think that's part of the major design flaw. Battle cries, end of turn effects, beginning of turn effects, death rattles, divine shield, whatever, taunt. All this stuff is really confusing on how it would work. Also, a problem is that this card is reliant on you having exactly 3-cost minions remaining in your deck. And if you don't, well then tough luck, the Malignant Shapeshifter doesn't transform into anything. I thought about What if it actually were a copy of the 3 cost until it was attacked? Like an actual real copy? But then there's the problem of, well, that allows you to run 4 copies of a 3 cost minion in your deck, and that could be problematic. There's also the interesting thought of, is this actually a Warlock card? This type of deception. So an interesting idea, but at the end of the day, I gotta think that the game actively lying to a player is probably going too far. Bashing Helm. 1 mana, 2/1 weapon for warrior. If you have more than 1 armor, attacking costs 2 armor instead of 1 durability. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. It's an alternate payment method, and I've tended to like alternate payment methods using armor for warrior. I feel like it's a design space that could be explored. I don't think that's overpowered to be able to just spend 2 mana to attack for 2 each turn, because you're gonna run out of health eventually. And besides, you're only attacking for 2 each turn, unless you upgrade it. I find it difficult to know exactly which deck this belongs in. After all, it's better to upgrade an already high attack weapon. Like, if you think about it, if you upgrade an Arcanite Reaper, you're like getting 2 attacks of Bashing Helm in, if the Bashing Helm were upgraded for each swing of Arcanite Reaper. So I think it's fine, but it would be a card to look at, because alternate costs are often dangerous. That much is also true. Annika of the Depths. Paladin, 5 mana, 5/5 legendary dragon. Battlecry. Give all secrets in your deck. Cast when drawn. When you would draw a secret, instead it's immediately put into play, and then you draw another card. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. I think I like it. It's definitely weaker than Mysterious Challenger still, because Mysterious Challenger just immediately draws you 5 and then puts them into play. This could be a cool inclusion alongside more secret synergy for Paladin, and I don't think it would break them. There's also the interesting idea of running this in a really fast combo deck. You could thin your deck really fast if you manage to get Annika out early. Just each time you draw a secret, it's just like, oh yeah, just put it into play and then draw another card. Honey Bear, 4 mana, 4/9 Druid Beast. A Battlecry, cast bees on this minion. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. So, when is this not just a Yeti? Well, I mean, it's a little bit different because if you summon it straight from your deck, it is a 4/9. If you have less than 4 slots open on your field, then Honey Bear will summon fewer bees to attack it, and it'll come out at higher health. And there's also small synergies with cards that trigger when you summon things, when things die, enough to make it an interesting Yeti plus. Small enough upside that it's not absurd either. Not entirely sure what deck this would go in, but just a cool card to have around. Murloc Witch Doctor, a shaman 3 mana 2/3 Murloc with Battlecry, add a 1/1 Murloc to your hand, teach it a 1 cost spell. Teach means discover 3 options, and then attach it to the 1/1 Murloc, basically. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. 3 mana 2/3, get a good card seems to be the norm right now. And when you add a 1/1 to a 1 cost spell, that's basically get a good card. It's basically get a better lackey, because 1 cost spells tend to be better. So I think it's a cool card. Has Battlecry, so it could work with the Quest Shaman. Has the Murloc tag, so would be an interesting addition to Murloc decks. Next up we have Abracadabra. Mage spell, 1 mana, legendary. Fill your hand with mage spells. At the end of your turn, discard them. Now, because this card hasn't seen that much play on Hearthstone, even now you may be surprised to learn this actually came out, and it's called Evocation. Now, the interesting thing is this card was predicted March 7th, so that came out a full month, nearly, before Ashes of Outland came out. So when Ashes of Outland finally started revealing cards and Evocation came out, people were like, oh my god, they stole this from Custom Hearthstone or something. Obviously that's not true. Most of the people were saying that in jest because, every so often Custom Hearthstone does manage to predict a actual Hearthstone card, sometimes quite accurately, such as in this case. But here's where the interesting darkness comes in, the intrigue. About a week prior to the posting of this card, by the Reddit poster. Streamers in general, as well as the news sites, were invited to a Hearthstone summit where we got to take a forward look on Ashes of Outland ahead of time. And we did see all of the cards. Maybe this card was cleverly hidden as their own creation, when in actuality he had found out about this crazy Hearthstone card coming out in Ashes of Outland.
What is up, Trouble Alert Nation? I'm your host, Killer Keemstar. Let's get right into the news! Oh my god!
All in all, nothing was ever confirmed, but the person who posted this card did ultimately end up deleting his account from Reddit. Busted? Busted. Oh, design 5 stars, balance 5 stars, by the way. Really interesting idea. I think it should make it in the Hearthstone. And now, for the Trump cards of the week. Plural, because since it was 10 weeks of cards where I selected pretty much one card from each week, naturally we got some really strong cards, and 2 were standouts of the standouts. The first for me was Illfated Morty. 4 mana, 5/9. At the start of your turn, cast Zap, Holy Smite, Tidal Surge, or Starfire on this minion. Your choice. Design 5 stars, balance 5 stars. Illfated Morty gives you a lot of interesting decisions at the start of your turn. Do you want to do the minimal amount of damage to it, but have to overload 1? Do you want to just deal 3 damage each turn? Or maybe you'd like to choose some of the more interesting options where if you're low, you can choose Tidal Surge to actually heal a little bit to yourself, or you can even Starfire it to draw a card. If you choose the vanilla option on Illfated Morty's first attack, it's a 4 mana 5/6, which is overstated, but you know, that's fine. You can only trade off a maximum of 3 damage to it, and then the next turn it is dead. But the turn that it's about to die, you can Starfire it. Like if it's only a 4 mana 5/1, Starfire is great value. You get to draw a card from it at the last, or you can even heal from it. Perhaps the only problem with Illfated Morty is that usually cards that generate cards, specific cards, only generate them from the basic or classic set, because it is some amount of work to know what 4 different cards from 4 different classes from some sets which are pretty far back. Like, what does Tidal Surge do? What does Zap do? Your opponent may not know. But I think this is a design philosophy that sometimes a card is cool enough that, okay, fine, we can do that.
Oh, jeez.
And our final Trump card of the week is Libra of Kings. Paladin 10 mana legendary spell. Summon Ragnaros Lightlord. If this has an odd cost, instead summon Ragnaros Firelord. What a cool idea, and so succinct too. Design 5 stars. Balance 4 stars. I think 10 mana is a little bit too expensive for it. Certainly as a Libram card. Librams are generally designed expecting to be reduced in value by 2 mana. And yes, it is fair to pay 8 mana for Ragnaros Lightlord, or maybe like 9 or 7 mana for Ragnaros Firelord. But, you know, fair just isn't quite good enough. I don't actually think Ragnaros Lightlord or Ragnaros Firelord get run. And I think this is like the cool topping on the top of the Libram package from Paladin. Maybe you push it a little. You should reduce it to 9. But maybe you push it even further. I think you reduce it to 8. On 9 mana, you have to compare with Libram of Justice. And is Ragnaros Lightlord better than a 8/8 Divine Shield Taunt, which immediately heals a target for 8? No, I think it's actually worse. So if that was worse than Libram of Justice, then perhaps Libram of Kings can be 8 mana. I think it's a really cool card though, evoking throwbacks of Ragnaros, both versions, and really flavorful, I think, for a Paladin. So that's a compilation of 10 weeks worth of custom Hearthstone cards. So that time skips us to the present, where you can look forward to more regular custom Hearthstone cards.